I know what you're thinking. If you've moved to another country, you should be trying to fit in, not be different. But here's my take on it. I've been living here in South Italy for the past 6 years, and if there is one thing that I have learnt to be the truest thing ever, it is this: don't lose yourself. Just because you move to another country, it doesn't mean that you have to become a shadow of your former self. It doesn't mean that you have to abandon your beliefs, the things that you hold dear to yourself, the kind of mindset and attitude that you have. No. It just means that you have to adapt. And it just means that you have to be more accepting of the changes that you are going to encounter living here. But it doesn't mean that you have to lose yourself. Trust me, I've been down that path and it was a miserable one. I became somebody I didn't recognize in my misguided attempt at trying to fit into Italian culture until I woke up and realized that I'm British and not Italian. And so I need to be me and not somebody else. And so in this video today, I want to explore some of the ways in which I really feel that I don't fit into Italian culture, particularly Southern Italian culture, because as I'm sure you're very well educated on now, Italy is a multitude of countries rolled into one, and mixed into that is also a combination of different beliefs, mindsets, attitudes, behaviours. The list goes on. And so talking very specifically about my time here in South Italy, this is what I believe to be true. The first is that I really don't fit into the kind of mindset that I experience here in South Italy. Now, I come from London. I come from a city that many people believe has a lot of opportunities and support and, encouragement for people who want to develop and improve themselves. And on one hand, that is true. I would say that if you, for example, want to start a business in the UK, you will definitely find more support and more groups and even financial backing than is really possible here in Italy. However, London isn't without its faults. London can be a difficult city to live in. It is expensive, and the political landscape and just the way that things are being managed is ever changing and evolving. So it's not easy to live in London. I don't sit here telling you that it's better than Italy, because it isn't, in my opinion. But I will say that having grown up in that city, my mindset was very strong when I came to Italy. I always believe that you can find an opportunity in life. I do not have the time to listen to the excuses from people who want to complain about their life but are unwilling to do anything about it. I literally just don't have the patience. I believe that if you are unhappy in life, there is something you can do. Even if it is not a really big step even if it is the fact that you learn a new skill, if you want to change your job, for example, or you change a habit or a routine if it's not making you happy. Like, there is something you can do with what you have in this particular moment of your life that can make a difference to your circumstances. But the reality is, a lot of people don't want to do this. A lot of people find comfort in complaining and don't seek comfort from changing things. And, this has been something that I just cannot understand. This is an aspect of life here, especially here in Sicily, that baffles me. I cannot understand why people can tolerate the conditions that they put up with here. I'm talking about the environmental conditions. I'm talking about the rubbish. Like, I was walking around Palermo this morning and it was literally like a hopscotch trying to dodge the feces that had been left on the floor from dogs. I was like, this is not normal. I looked across, I saw rubbish, a huge amount of rubbish that had been torn open, and pigeons were kind of resting all over it. I felt like I was in a third world country. Yeah, I'm in a country where people pay a lot of money to come and visit every single year. People have this romantic notion of what life is like here, and I'm walking around in near poverty. And this is something where I'm like, do you know what? I always tell it to you how it is on this channel, and I will continue to do so, because you need to know what real Italy is like. It is not the Amalfi. It is not the images that you have been fed for many, many years. It is what I'm telling you now, especially here in South Italy, especially here in Sicily. Let's really narrow it down. And so I come here and I see this on a day-to-day basis, and I'm literally like, how can people tolerate this? Like, it is not perfect in the UK. You can find many cities that have problems with rubbish, graffiti, litter. The list goes on. In fact, there have been disputes in recent months with the rubbish collection services in the UK, and people are having their collections reduced, which means, rubbish, of course, piles up on the street as a result. But it is nothing compared to what I'm experiencing in this period in Palermo. Absolutely nothing. I can be sure of that. And so there is this acceptance that I cannot kind of wrap my head around sometimes. It's important to accept things to feel better about your life. In fact, there is an amazing book that will be my first book that I read in 2025 when it is released in January, called Let Them by Mel Robbins. And she talks about this, and she's been talking about this book a lot in her promotional material, but she talks about just let things be as they are if you cannot change them, because it only causes you stress, which is unnecessary in the long run, in a nutshell. And so I understand in that respect, you have to accept things for the way that they are here, because if you can't change them yourself, what are you going to do? Just stress yourself about it? But there is an element of personal responsibility that I absolutely see lacking here, and that I cannot wrap my head around at all. We all live in one world. We all live in one city. We share our world with other people. Why don't we think about that when we decide to let our dog do its toilet on the street? Why don't we think about that when we decide to drive at people as you're crossing the road? Why don't we think about that when we double park, or when we just kind of conduct our life as if we are the only person living it? Why don't we think about that? This world is not for us alone. It is a shared experience for many. So there is this aspect of the mindset here that I will never, ever be able to fit into and get used to. And I'm so happy about that, to be honest, because I don't think that this is a good mindset at all. But that tied into that, there's also this kind of mindset of complacency, just kind of, well, this is my life. I'm happy. It's good. It's good to be grateful and thankful for what you've got. But don't you want more? Don't you want to have something extra in your life? Are you really happy settling with what you have? Isn't there some kind of unfulfilled wish or desire that you would like to follow, a new skill you would like to learn, a new language, or starting a business or a new project? Isn't there something new that you would like to do? Or is it that you are okay with what you've got, and so this is your life forevermore? I can't agree with this either, because, I am a bit of an odd bod. I will say it. I spend large periods of time on my own, working on my stuff, because it brings me joy, and because I take great joy from it. Having this YouTube channel, having my brand that I'm slowly building and evolving, brings me joy. And I realise that I'm doing things that a lot of people here would not be willing to do. People aren't willing to necessarily work on their days off. People aren't willing to necessarily put in the time after you've done a complete 6, 7, 8 hour working day and work on your own project. Some people are not willing to do this, but I am. I watched an amazing short the other day from Alex Hormozy. I'll link it up here, where he talks about if you want to be successful in life, you have to be prepared to be lonely. And it's the best short I think I've ever seen that explains this whole concept, because it is true. When you want to be the exception, you will do things that normal people cannot understand. You will refuse invitations that people think you are rude to refuse. You will use your time in a way that other people don't. You will just be abnormal to many people. And I'm sure there are many people that know me that can't quite figure me out, or that think that I'm cold, or that I don't know, I'm just something different to the way that people are here. But I'm very real with who I am as a person. I have one face, I have one mouth, and I have one mind. And I choose to position them all in the same way. I choose to be real with people. I choose to have healthy boundaries with people, because I think if you cross those boundaries, it can be very difficult sometimes to resurrect them again in the future if necessary. I'm also somebody who doesn't forget things. If you've mistreated me in the past, I might be polite to you, but I will never forget that moment. I will learn from it. And so it's strange. I really think with mindset, I am very, very different. I will sit here and I will say to people that I know, why don't you create a business online? Why don't you create a digital product? And people look at me and be like, well, it's not like that here. You have to have a shop, or you have to have some kind of physical presence in order to have a business. And, I just sit here and go, well, I don't agree with that at all. Like, the internet is there for everyone to take wherever you are. You don't need a lot of money to make a success of yourself on the internet. You just need to have the passion and the foresight, and you can have that wherever you are in the world. As long as you have a computer and an internet connection, you can try to make something of yourself online. And I think anybody that tells you otherwise, they're just making an excuse. And it's this. But this is such a deep-rooted thing, because I do believe it is our culture. It is the way that we are brought up that instills these beliefs into us. And so mindset is something that I don't think I'll ever get used to. I also don't think that I will ever fit into the working culture here. This is true. I do my job, and I do it with professionalism. I work extremely hard at what I do, and I do it with passion, because I really believe, especially if you are a teacher, you should never do it just for the paycheck. You've got to have some passion to be able to be successful at what you do. If you are just doing this job for the paycheck, there are far easier jobs that you could find. Being a teacher requires a multitude of skills. It is not just opening a laptop. It requires you to have empathy, communication, passion, organization. The list goes on. Watch this video if you want to know more. But essentially, there are many kind of aspects of the working world that I don't agree with here in Italy. I don't agree with people being taken advantage of. I don't agree with the lack of respect that is often shown to many people in different professions in Italy when it comes to work. I don't agree with the fact that here in South Italy, there are many people that work for pittance and many employers that take advantage of that. I also don't agree with the fact that people have almost given up on working on this island because they really, really believe that there is nothing for them here. And so you have this mass exodus of talent that leave Italy or leave Sicily and go to live in other parts of Italy, for example, mainly the north. I don't agree with that. I think, certain professions and industries are not well represented here in Sicily. It is very, very true. But I think, that's not to say that success doesn't exist here, because it does. There are plenty of successful businesses here, plenty of businesses that turn over more than €1 million a year. There are plenty of successful industries that are based here in Sicily. It all depends on you, your mindset, and what you want from your life. And so that's why it goes back into the first point. It depends on how you view life as to whether or not you're going to make a success of it. And so this is an aspect of the working culture that I can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around how complex it is to work here, how you have to educate yourself on your contract. It's not simple to read it through and understand what is expected of you, how you have to learn to kind of instill boundaries to be able to be treated well. There are so many aspects to the working life here that I don't think I will ever get used to. And so this is another area of life here that I really struggle to fit into. And then when it comes to people, I struggle sometimes with this. I would consider myself to be a little bit of an introvert, yes. I am somebody that does enjoy spending time on my own. I'm not somebody now, especially sitting here at 41, who really wants to waste my time spending it with people who I don't really have a connection with. I don't really kind of feel that, I can give anything to those people or they can give anything to me. I just kind of feel like, we spend so much of our life in situations with people who don't bring us anything and we don't bring them anything. And yet we do it because of FOMO. We don't want to miss out, or we do it because we feel we have to. There's an obligation. But you don't have to do anything in life. Everything is a choice. And I think, the way that we spend time with people is also a choice. And the people that you choose to surround yourself with is also extremely influential in terms of the success and the life that you will lead. Like, if you surround yourself with people who have no ambition, if you surround yourself with people who are happy at just kind of being complacent and living their life as it is, you're going to find it very difficult to have the motivation to be kind of successful or driven at what you do, because you're going to look around, your friends are going to be like playing computer games or having holidays. They're not going to be motivated, and so you're not going to find it easy to have that motivation within yourself. It's this. So I find the people here difficult sometimes. Like, I enjoy the warmth of the people here in South Italy. This is true, and that has never changed over the course of the 6 years that I have been here. But as I've gotten to know people here, sometimes I struggle, because I think people can be fake here. Like, in any other part of the world, it's true. Like, I don't say this is just in South Italy. It can be even in the UK. But people can be fake here. They can show you a lot of warmth, but there isn't any depth behind that. And you realize that the more that you speak to people, you realize that a lot of people here are out for themselves. I noticed that when I cross the road. People have got somewhere to go, they're not interested, they might knock you over in the process, you know. It's this. I see a lot of selfishness here, because I think selfishness is the reason why the streets look an absolute disaster in Palermo, because people are out for themselves. As long as their home is clean, they don't care about the communal environments, you know. So I see this a lot. And I think sometimes I don't think I'll ever fit in with the kind of people here in Italy, and it's okay. Like, I speak about 3 important things here: mindset, work, and people, because I think whatever age you're planning to move to Italy at, whatever stage of your life you're at, those are 3 aspects that at least one of them you are going to kind of encounter or experience. And I feel this is something very important to talk about, because no, you do not have to fit in. No, you do not have to be the same as everybody else. The important thing is that you accept what life is here. You accept it for what it is, you take it for what it is, and you make it work for you, and you make the best of the situation that you are in. Everything is a choice, as I have already said. If you are planning to move to Italy, for most people that is a choice, unless it is something that is required of you for work, for example. For the majority of people, it is a choice that you make. And so, yes, you can have an opinion about where you live. Absolutely. I really believe that that is super important. But no, it doesn't mean that you have to be like everybody else in order to integrate. You can be you with your beliefs, your values, your kind of opinion about things. The important thing is that you have respect for where you are and where you live, but you do not have to lose you. And the longer I spend living here in Italy, the more I realize how true this is. I will never have the same mindset as people here. I will never fit into the working culture here. I probably will never fit into the people and the kind of relationships with people here, and that's totally okay. Like, the fact is, I can embrace it and experience it for what it is. I can take the good from the situations, but I can also learn some of my best and biggest lessons, which is exactly what I've been doing for the past 6 years. In fact, I wrote a book about the first 40 or so of them. Have a look up here. But it's this: take from Italy what you can and accept the rest. I think this is the healthiest way to truly fit into the Italian culture. I'll see you in the next video.